Good evening and welcome to G-Star Vault, the safe place for paranormal evidence, I should say. Please don't forget to like this stream, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe to the channel. And also, we really want you to share. That really helps the channel. So if you can share, that's awesome. We've got some people in already. Evening Heart. Good timing. Yes. Or was that my timing that was good? I think I was sort of right on time. I think actually the stream missed the first couple of seconds of my intro, but never mind. These things happen. So sorry I wasn't here with you guys last Sunday. Unfortunately, I recently lost lost our little fur baby girl, and it's been really hard to manage it. And I do want to do a tribute to Ellie, our little fur baby girl. But I'll just bring a picture up of her right now to show you guys. And yeah, I do want to do a tribute to Ellie, but I need to wait until I'm in a place where I'm not struggling so badly, because Ellie's personality was just one that was so full of life. And she was just such a happy dog, such a positive life force energy. And I'm going to do a video tribute for her, which I will share with you guys. But I want it to be a really positive, tribute of her life, rather than a sort of tearjerker. And right now, unfortunately, I'm just not in that place. But I just wanted to kind of explain why I wasn't here last week, and why I may not be 100% this evening, but I am trying to push on in the best way possible. But we really do miss you, Ellie. You've left a really big hole in our family, and still got Theo, her oldest brother, who's still with us, and he's coping okay at the moment. So a lot of focus going into him. So yeah, thank you guys. Evening, Monty Ban. Yeah, she is and always will be a cutie pie. So yes, and just to also mention, for those of you here in the UK, it is Remembrance Sunday, lest we forget. So a big mention to all the families out there and everybody that is trying to remember those that gave their lives in the call of freedom. And so yeah, just a bit of a mention from everybody at the channel here about Remembrance Sunday. And our thoughts go out to everyone who is who is basically celebrating is the wrong word, but remembering and marking this special day. Right, so let's talk about what we're going to talk about this evening. I called the episode, well, on the thumbnail it was Enigma UFOs, and then the actual title of the video is UFO Revisited. Back in September, I uploaded a video to the channel. Actually, let me just bring up some comments. Yeah, hi Monty from Heart. And Monty says, hey Heart. Sorry to hear that, Hart, but yeah, this is a day for us all to remember and tribute their sacrifice. So yeah, but thank you for sharing. Yes, so in September, I uploaded a video to this channel and also to the Underground Paradox, my other channel. Link is in the description if you want to go and check that out if you haven't done so thus far. And the video was entitled UFOs of 2024, and it was about 2 sightings that I've had this year. And don't think that I often have sightings. I've never really caught anything on camera before, even though I've been in this game for a long time and ufology for a long time. You know, it's quite surprising that I've had sort of, you know, what we would call 2 experiences or sightings this year, and they were all covered in that video. I'm not going to play any of that video. If you want to go and check it out, again, the link is in the description to this video, and you can go and check it out there and watch that video. And the reason why I'm not going to talk too much about it is because in a moment we're going to delve into something, and I'll be reading you out a kind of synopsis of one of the sightings anyway. So what I want to revisit is the sighting that I had in February, which took place in Devon in the UK. And in that video, if you go and check it out, I had sort of put in there that both sightings, because one happened in Girona in Spain and one happened here in the UK in Devon. And both sightings I reported to MUFON and to Enigma. Now, a lot of people might be going, well, what is Enigma? And basically, in short, Enigma is an app where it's a worldwide global app, and you can just go in there and you can put your reports in or look at other people's reports. It's a little bit like Google Maps in a way. And yeah, you can go in there and put your report in if you've had a sighting, or look at other people's sightings. You can share video, you can share photographs, you can leave an audio recording of your sighting report, which is one of the things that I did. And so when I was making that video, I had kind of you know, sent off the reports, and it takes a while for them to process the reports and like then publish them. And so it was, I think after the release of the video, that I then went back and sort of reminded myself, oh, I need to go and check and see if they've published my sighting. And they had. And what was interesting is then I could find it on the map. And then I started looking at some other sightings that had been reported in the sort of vicinity or the sort of rough, close area to where I had my sighting. And what was really interesting, I started picking up a sort of commonality between some reports, and we're going to cover them in a minute. Is Enigma just for UFO sightings? Primarily, yes, I believe it is, Hart. So, yeah, that hopefully answers that question. But yeah, and Hart says she keeps meaning to go and sit on the roof and watch the skies at night. I'll remember to take my camera. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've said in plenty of my videos that, you know, you have to, during the day as well, you know, during the daytime, you need to keep your eyes up and always looking at what's going on, because you'll be surprised what you see. The second sighting that I had this year that took place in Girona, I was just like literally laid by a pool sunbathing and started seeing something strange, and then thought, right, I am going to get my camera out. And yeah, so it always does pay to keep your eyes up. There's lots going on at the moment, definitely in the world. So yes, I was then going to walk you guys through this whole Enigma thing, but it wasn't until I was prepping this week for this stream that I then started to realize that actually Enigma, the app, is an iOS app. So stop this here, remove that a minute. So I didn't realize that it was just an iOS app, and I do my live streaming through a PC, obviously. So, and it's not a Mac, so I can't install the app on this PC to share with you directly onto the live stream. So then what I had to do was I had to go and sort of film really what I wanted on screen to share with you guys. So I thought it would be a great way to introduce you to the app, which is called Enigma, and anybody can download it. If you are an iOS user, it's free to download, and it is a pretty good, decent app. So I'm just going to share a video with you now and talk a little bit about, first of all, the app itself, and then we'll talk about, we'll go and find my report. So basically, this is what you see. Hopefully, this is coming up on your guys' screen, and across the bottom there, you sort of see a camera in the middle. There's various things that you can do, even when you're on this screen. So you can go to like uploading a report. You can look for things via data, or you can look for them via map, and you can upload pictures from this screen. But this is kind of like where you would start when you go into the app. And evening to adult, evening, let's bring that up onto the screen. Evening, thanks for joining us. And as I keep saying throughout the stream, please don't forget to like this stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Yeah, so this is what you see at first, and then what happens is you end up first of all go into your location in the world. So hopefully that's going to start happening soon. Here we go. So when I made this or screenshotted this, where that blue dot is, that's where I was in the world. And so we can zoom in and keep going in, because I knew that my sighting was around this area because it wasn't actually too far from home. And right there where I've put that target, that is where that's my sighting, that's my report there, that's on Enigma. And if you sort of look at some of the ones that are surrounding it, you can see that mine's got like a kind of, there we go. I did remember to zoom in. Good. Well done, G. What's that add-ons? Monty knows me as Q. Changed username. Well, welcome anyway. Great to have you on board for the live stream. Yeah, so going back to what's on the screen here, you can see my sighting's just underneath that 12, and that's got an audio symbol with it, because I also left an audio recording of my report. But you can see the one above the 12 has got like a video, and then there's a picture one that's a little bit further up. Yeah, so loads of different things. The ones that are just orange are just basic reports. The numbers signify reports. So this is on the video where I've just clicked onto my report. This is my sighting, and this is how it then pops up. My report is hashtag 297214. If you do download the app, that's how you can go and quickly find my report. But as you can see, for those of you that haven't watched the UFOs of 2024 video, I'll just read this out so you've got a rough idea of the sighting that I had. So driving home from work from Salcombe, Devon to Plymouth, Devon, near an area called Pitton, which is an area that is primarily farmland and farming fields. Was driving on a section of a narrow country lane at the time, which was at 6. God, can't see my own right. I can't see the screen big enough. Where were we? Yeah, so it was 6:45 p.m. in February. So it was pitch black by this time. About 50 meters ahead is where I saw a white light emanating from a small wooded area, and the light source seemed to be moving. At first, I thought it might have been someone walking their dog or out for walk in the dark, or possibly someone on a dirt bike, given that it was a farming area. As my vehicle got closer and I was parallel with the wooded area, I could see the source of the light, and it looked like a ball. It was at this point I noticed that the light source seemed to be matching speed with my vehicle. Within seconds, because the wooded area is only small, my vehicle was now parallel with the farmer's field, and the light source proceeded to stay what seemed parallel with me at a distance of roughly 100 meters. At this point, I considered grabbing my phone to try and capture object, but since I was driving on a narrow, windy country road at the time, and there was nowhere immediately ahead to stop, it wasn't safe. I tried to slow down and take a really good look and a description of the object, but to be honest, it just looked like a white ball, and I wasn't sure if white light was so bright it was masking the shape of the object. It was about 5 seconds later, the object then went from a position of roughly a few meters from the ground and over one of the farmer fields to shooting straight up vertically into the stratosphere through the clouds and was gone. And that maneuver was so fast, it literally happened in a second. My driver window was closed, and even pressing my head against the window, I couldn't see high enough to continue to track the object, but pretty certain that it was just gone. And so that is my full report, and there's also an audio version of me sort of like reading that through. So that was my report. Let's just see what we've got in comments. Evening, Kevin. Great to see you. Thanks for coming along and joining the stream. And oh, and Hart says, yes, she's watched the video that I did on it. Awesome. So you know what I'm talking about. Great stuff. So that was my sighting. And again, I'm going to continue this this video from Enigma. Try and move it forward. See if we. Right. So basically, that was my sighting. And that's just the address there, 1 East Pitton Barnes. However, we'll come back to that later because there is a sort of slight error with that. Right. So then, as I said to you, I started noticing some or looking into some of the reports in the surrounding area. So where that target is right now on another person's report, you can see how close it is to my report, which is that just to the left of the target. And so let's have a look at this report. So this report was made in 2024. So this year, same year as my sighting, July 16th, quite close in terms of, and it says bright white object, a very bright white light that looked spherical. So again, that matches with everything in my report in terms of it being a ball of white light. I guess I would say it was heading west to east. And again, if you've watched my video, you see me talk about how I feel that the object was going west to east, and witnessed by themselves and their wife from their garden. So this sighting was witnessed by 2 people. Address has been hidden for privacy, which doesn't really help. I don't know what duration is 2 minutes, 25 seconds, because I don't think there was a video with this report. But it's interesting that it was witnessed by 2 people. It's interesting that it was the same year. So remember, my sighting was in February of 2024. So literally just about 5 months later, this sighting, and similar details in terms of a spherical object, white, bright light. Cheers, Monty. See you later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for coming along, joining the stream. Yep. So Kevin there saying other witnesses in the same location says it's definitely something there. Yeah, it's interesting with that one, that it was, 2 people that witnessed it. Anyway, let's continue the video because that's not the only sighting that I looked at. So hopefully I can push it on. Right. So then the next one where this target is now on. There we go. Get rid of that comment. Yeah, so this one that this target was on, I then clicked on that, and then this is the report that comes up from there, which again is just in a more northerly direction from my sighting and report. so still in a very close location. This sighting was reported, or the sighting took place in October 20th, 2023. So even closer to my sighting, just 4 months previous to my sighting. So what does this person say? Walking across the moors, my attention was taken by a brilliant, shining white light in the sky. It was small in size and hard to gauge distance. Again, going back to my video, if you watch it, I talk about how this object that I saw was at maximum only about 2 meters big. It didn't look like a big craft or ship, just looked like probably the size of a drone. And it was, for most of what I saw, about a meter off the ground. So again, this person's talking about a white light that is small in size. It seemed to lose intensity and brightness, and it appeared to travel in a southerly direction before I lost visibility completely. The sky was clear that day with some cloud, but none in the vicinity of the sighting. And I say this took place, the address is recorded as Plymouth, but if you see it on the map, it's sort of on the outskirts of Plymouth, more on the moors. And definitely, I think the person said that they were looking across the moors, or walking across the moors. But again, some really interesting similarities there. Let's move on to the next one. So where's the next one? So as I mentioned to you, when you're looking on these maps on Enigma, the app, where you see the numbers, that's basically meaning, so there's a number 4 on that one, and that means that there's 4 reports in that area. And I think on this occasion, I was brought to the attention of the first report that comes up. And this one took place in South Brent, which is very close to Pitton, or the location of my report. This took place on January the 3rd, 2022. 2 lights this time, perfectly in line, extremely bright, appeared outside my bedroom window. Oh yeah, I remember this one. This one's quite long. I was sitting up in bed, just having used the toilet, turned off the light, and folded my iPad away and put it down on the table next to the bed, when 2 lights, extremely bright, came on at the same time, illuminating the whole room. Yeah, this is a long one. I would say they were just behind the tree line. Trees not very high. They had to be fairly low in my sight of vision, but these lights in the center of the window, these were perfectly still for about 2 seconds. In a split second, they went out, but from my side window, I saw a flash of light disappear to the right from my side window at phenomenal speed. The lights, so far, this isn't exactly the same as my sighting because it's 2 lights rather than 1, but there's some similarities around the sort of question of speed, because that's certainly what happened in my experience, where the light just shot up so fast. It was unbelievable. The lights must have stayed bright as they shot off, as they kind of faded smaller as they went into the distance, seemingly heading over the small village of South Brent, which is where the other sighting was, in the Dartmoor direction. They sped. The speed they went off was mind-boggling. I have never seen anything more move so fast, and there was no noise whatsoever, total silence as the window was open. I use a fan at night and keep the air fresh so as to help me sleep. So this report does go on, but again, some real strong similarities between not just my report, but other people's reports in the area. And remember, so far, all of these are in a vicinity of sort of time span of about 2 years. So pretty interesting. Yeah. And if you can, please comment, let me know what you're thinking so far of these reports that I found. That's really interesting. What's Kevin got to say here? From a lot of stories that I've read, if you've been so close to lights as if shone in the bedroom, they might have been abducted and not even know about it. Well, that brings me on to something that I do feel quite strongly about, Kevin. Just go on a bit of a subplot discussion right now. I hope you guys don't mind. But yeah, the regarding abductions, abductions were really quite heavily reported throughout the 70s, 80s, and into just some of the early 90s. And then it kind of seemed to stop. So does that mean that abduction stopped? My theory is no. My theory is like any other culture or species. If you think back to, say, Betty and Barney Hill, who were the first documented, recorded case of abduction, and that was in the 60s. So if you imagine where we were technology-wise in the 60s to where we are now, and how much the world has changed and how different things are for us, you imagine any other culture is developing equally, either at a similar speed or faster. And because technological advancement does have an upward swing where it gets faster and faster, just because of the sheer knock-on effect of previous technology. So you've got to assume that some other culture out there, or species or race, would be developing as well. And I think they've got to the point where they can abduct people and you just don't even know about it now. Or they've got over the hurdles of their errors and the mistakes that they were making, way back when. And I believe my thoughts are, again, don't have any massive evidence to back this up, but I do believe that abductions are still going on. So hopefully that answers that thought, Kevin. And what have we got there from Adions? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let me know phonetically if I'm not. Not a shock over Dartmoor due to very close location to a few military bases. Yep. Dartmoor, Devon, Bodmin, Cornwall, all of these areas are quite significant hotspots. The latest update from 2023 is that in terms of the UK, the highest Cornwall comes in at number 4, fourth highest county for volume of reports, and Devon comes in at number 6, I believe, out of the top 10 hotspots in the UK for UFO reports throughout 2023. This is so that was the latest, and you can go and sort of Google that and find that out. That is the case. Okay, so. I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to read you all of this guy's sighting because it does go on a bit, but there was some good similarities there. Let me just push this video on to get past this report. God, I left that there for a long time. I think I was planning to read the whole report, but I'm just not going to. Right, so what I then wanted to do is I wanted to just go in a bit closer to where my report and sighting is and really show it to you on the map and talk about a few things that I've picked up since, since I did the video, UFOs 2024, and since I've had the sighting. Now, you can see that on that map right there on the screen, it's placed my sighting at that house. Well, technically, that's not correct. The coordinates that I gave them were actually at that crossroads that's just to the left that you can see in between those fields, where I'm pointing the arrow now. That was convenient. Thought to put an arrow. Brilliant. And so my sighting sort of started all the way back here and went all the way down through to where I saw it disappear. So it was about a mile in distance. In the video, I talk about how small the wooded area is, and you can definitely see more of that on here. Now, I just want to point out where this house is, because again, why I wanted to talk about this evening is because in my video I don't talk about this house. And that road that is running from the crossroads on the left-hand side, that road is actually at an incline. So if you stood at those crossroads, if you looked to your right, you wouldn't see that house because it goes downhill. So obviously it's a lower altitude and you can't even see the roof of the house. Not from the first part of that road. As you would continue to go down the road, then obviously you would get a better visible eyeball on this house. I just want to point that out because we're going to be talking about something in a minute as well that's got nothing to do with Enigma, and I really want you to remember that important detail. Let me just stop what I'm saying for a minute and just go back to some comments. Evening to I think I saw Katie Fitness come along. Yeah, evening, Katie. Thank you for coming along again. Don't forget to like the stream. Yeah, that's what's Kevin got to say there. Yeah, agreed, G. If you have any doubts, get hypothesis, but would you want to know? Yeah, exactly. If you've been abducted, would you really want to know? And what's Alan said there? Can you trust hypothesis though due to suggestion by the person influencing you? Yep, you got to be careful. But we can't help. It's natural human instinct to be influenced by the things we see and the things that we hear and what we say. But yeah, it's got to be, you got to be mindful of it. That's true. Yeah. So I think that pretty much is the roundup of what I wanted to show you here on the map. But please just remember that that house is at a lower altitude to where I reported the sighting and also where you see me videoing from. That where the arrow is now, I was just using that to point out the wooded area, so that gives you a better, again, if you've seen the video, gives you a better concept of the size of the wood and where the wood is positioned. And as I said, that's where on this side that you're seeing at the top of the screen. So I first saw it on that side of the woods as I'm driving towards it on this road here. Bear in mind, this was at night time. It was pitch black. I first see it in the very corner of that wooded area. And then as I'm driving past through, it comes out of the wooded area and goes across this field. And where I'm taking the camera to now is kind of where it then rested between two trees and then shot up into the air in about a second flat and just disappeared into the stratosphere and was gone. And that part of the experience makes me convinced that it wasn't a drone. And that is just plain and simple. So yeah, that was Enigma. So, you know, go and check Enigma out if you're an iOS user. Apparently it is coming soon on Android. Which would be great because that'll make it more accessible to a lot more people. And the more people that go on and leave credible, serious reports and not mess around with people, you know, it really helps because as you can see, even from my small thing of just scouring the vicinity in the area of reports from what I reported, there's some really good, solid similarities coming up, which really do help with, you know, things like evidence and coming up for a strong picture of what's going on. What have we got from add-ons there? Does anyone else take stock in the theory that they're not aliens but demons? I've heard that a few times. I don't know. I'll let the other guys comment on that one. It's a really interesting question, add-ons. But yeah, for me, you know, it's weird. We all talk about aliens, but what does aliens mean? Does it, you know, necessarily mean that they're from another place in the universe, or could they simply be from another dimension, or could they have always been here, but we would still consider them alien because I guess anything that comes under that alien banner is alien to us, right? Okay, so I've got another video for you, and we're not leaving the subject of my sighting just yet. So let me bring this one up first. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, since uploading the video UFOs 2024, I obviously went back and watched it just to see how things have come through and you know, what it looked like. And as I'm going through the video, I noticed something which in the entirety of the video I don't really talk about. It's pretty poor of me, to be honest with you. Um, you know, I guess my only excuse to why I kind of didn't talk about it or didn't reference it is, for those of you that know some of the history of that video, it was a very difficult project for me. I was having all sorts of problems with my editing suite at the time, and actually doing that whole video took like 4 weeks longer than it should have taken to do, because I kept losing versions of it and having to rebuild the video over and over again. So towards the end of it, I was just so desperate to get it finished and done, and so therefore I you know, kind of in a sense maybe rushed the last stages of it, and as a result probably wasn't looking at some detail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly, I've taken out a part of the video. I'm going to play that to you now. I'm not going to talk through it. I'm just going to let you listen to what it is on the video. And then I'm going to bring your attention to what it is that I missed. And maybe as I play this one, you might start seeing it. But it's worth discussion considering what we're talking about here and what I'm talking about and my experience. Check it out. So what I'm just going to quickly explain here whilst I'm on location is, as I was coming down the road, after I got past the woodland area where I saw it, it basically was traveling parallel with me at the same sort of similar speed, and I was traveling at about 40-45 miles per hour at the same speed that you've seen some of the cars on the road going at the moment. And then it went across this field, and my torchlight is kind of similar to the position that it was in, and it was like an orb, as I've already explained. And then it was around this position. Obviously my car was further down the road, but it kind of just shot up into the sky and disappeared. There is a road down here, so I've considered things like whether it was a car traveling up this roadway, casting light over to there, but it wouldn't have explained how the light crossed from one field, as you saw in the daytime footage earlier, into this field over here. But I just thought I'd explain that whilst I'm here on location. Okay, so I know we got a comment there about the sound. Sorry, that was the maximum sound on that video that I've sort of pulled out of the original video. I hope that's what you're talking about in terms of volume, not my volume. Now let me know. Adions? Am I saying that right? Give me a thumbs up if I'm saying adions right. But yeah, hopefully it was just the sound on the video you're talking about, but the sound on the video is not important. I'm going to keep playing it now. Let me know, please do comment if you already saw something in that footage that I was playing. If you didn't, I'm going to bring attention to it now, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. Flying Visit G, keep watching. The skies, I mean skies. Yep. Cheers, Sean. Thank you. Give me that thumbs up before you disappear. That would be awesome. A dad dons. A dad dons. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying. Cheers, buddy. Right. So I'm going to play some stuff now. I've used some of my sort of markers to bring it to your attention. Taking away the sound. Can you see that on the screen where the arrow is? There's like a white light. Now, again, I'm going to talk you back to that house. If you go back and watch my video, UFOs 2024, or rewind this live stream and go back and look at where that house was, that house is much further to the right. So it's not actually, even if we could look down that hill to where that house is, it ain't there. It's to the right. So that kind of eliminates this light coming from anything to do with that house. The other thing that I also want to point out for both this and another light that comes up in a minute, you can see where my torchlight is. So, and you can see where the end of the torchlight is. And so it's not the torchlight making like some animal eyes glow. We're not looking at eye glow here. So let's just continue the video. there's another one there. Hopefully this is coming up on the screen for you guys and you can see it. So it's really, really interesting because obviously what I'm talking about, and if you can't see it on the live stream here, let me just take that piece of video back. I'm just going to get rid of the sound for a minute. So keep watching whilst I'm talking. But if you can't see it on here, you can go back and watch the video UFOs of 2024, and it's all over the video. There's loads of this section of the video that I do slow motion on, and this is why I can't believe that I didn't bring attention to it. And it was definitely, again, lights flashing, certainly not to the intensity. I'm not saying that these are the same as what I saw. What I'm just finding interesting, because there may be some explanation, but again, if you go back and watch my video, I shot this whole area during the daylight hours as well, and you will see from watching that footage from the daytime that there is nothing in this location like roads or street lights or anything like electrical transmitter. There's none of that in this vicinity that would explain what is causing those lights at night. But it's interesting that they're white. It's interesting that they're flashing in and out, but not as interesting as something else that I found later on in the footage, which really does blow my mind. And the only way that I could share it with you guys is just to keep scrubbing the same portion of 2 seconds of footage. And it's all about when my torchlight goes up into the sky, where I'm demonstrating seeing, or what I was doing was demonstrating the direction of which this white object flew up into the sky, right? And as I'm doing that on this video, something really interesting happens. And again, the video in a minute should bring it to, here we go. So again, I hope that, if you've got brightness on your whatever you're watching on, can you see it there? There's a white light in the sky, and my torchlight, as it's going past, illuminates it. So again, this torch that I'm using is not strong enough to sort of light up a star. Okay, so it's not like a star that can't be seen, and you're more likely to see the star without the torchlight rather than, but it's when the torchlight shines. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me know in comments, please do, if you can see it. Evening, Mazza. Yeah, we talked about I just talked about animal eyes because the light you can clearly see is not facing at that time in the direction where you're picking it up. Whether there's another light source that might be causing that on an animal, but again, usually, well, that's weird. That's strange. Hats have just fallen off the wall from behind me, so I've got a ghost with me on the live stream. Just literally knocked all my hats off the wall. Oh, freaky. It'll be interesting to watch that back. Anyway, so going back to what Mazda was saying and talking about animals, usually it could be because it's at a distance. Again, I'll take the video back and we'll come back to the bit in the sky bit in a minute. Let's go back to where these were. It could be because it's in the distance that we're not seeing two lights, because you usually get that with animal eyes. And it's just what I can visibly see is one light source. But again, you can see where the light from the torch is, and it's way away. Whether it's the camera, if that's what you're pointing towards, Maz, that there's something about just filming in itself that picks up the back of a retina. But again, it's a bit strange. I mean, this is a farmland area. There could be cows, sheep, whatever, but you would imagine that I would be picking it up all over the place, not just two. And then what happens sort of a couple of minutes into the further down in the footage is that then I see a similar white light in the sky. So it's definitely not a cow and a sheep there. But again, let me get to that bit where I scrub it. I did put an arrow on it to point it at or bring attention to it if you're struggling to see where it is. but it's kind of strange because when the light's not on it, you can't see it. But when my torchlight, anyway, I hadn't noticed all of this as I was doing my initial edit of the video. It definitely adds a layer of interest, really, for me. The fact that I'm here at the location where I had the sighting, where I had the experience, filming the location, talking about it, and all of this kind of stuff is coming up on the footage. Yeah, I didn't notice it until after I'd released the video and I was going back and watching it. Um, Thank you, Hart, for confirming that you can see them perfect. I'd be really disappointed if it wasn't coming through clearly. I think it's just where I'm looking at it here on my stream screen. It just looks quite dark, and certainly not as light as it was when I was editing it. But I thought that was interesting to share that with you, revisit my UFO sighting, share with you guys the Enigma app and all the things that can do. And if you're interested in ufology, great idea to go and download that. And just to go there and look at what other people are reporting, look at what reportings have been in your vicinity, in your area, and if you've had your own experiences to share, because it does really help. The more people that are open and transparent and honest and use it sensibly, because believe you me, I've already come across a few things where it's clear to see that people are using it to poke fun at other people, which is a shame, but there's only a very minute amount of that, so don't let that put you off. So before I check off on this Sunday and before we wrap up this G-Star Vault Live, there's a few other things that I just wanted to share from you. And as we're on the subject of ufology and UAP sightings, etc., I thought I would keep to the theme, and most of what I want to just talk to you and bring to your attention now is all about the world of UFOs, pretty much, except for one bit. Okay, so I just wanted to share with you, first of all, I've got a video to use, which I'll play in just a second. Just wanted to say that I watched, there's this thing that's come up on Netflix. If you have access to Netflix, it's called The Manhattan Alien Abduction. The reason why I'm bringing it to your attention is because I'd highly recommend it. It's really interesting that I'm saying I'd highly recommend it. But, the person who features as the main person in this documentary is actually suing Netflix over how they've depicted her. But anyway, to give some background and explain, some of you may be familiar with this story, but it's a case of documented abduction that took place in the 90s in Manhattan, and supposedly it had a high number of witnesses that actually saw the person being abducted floating through the sky. Supposedly it's 23 witnesses. And what's really interesting about this documentary, and why a lot of you may like it, whether you're skeptical or whether you believe or whether you sit somewhere in the middle, everyone will enjoy it, because what's interesting about the documentary, the person that got abducted was a lady by the name of Linda Napolitano. She was originally, at the time that all of this happened and kicked off, she was actually called Linda Corteil. And there was basically this paranormal investigator, UFO investigator, and author called Bud Hopkins, who did a whole book called, I think it was called Witnessed. And a big part of that book was all about Linda's abduction and things that happened between her and Bud following, where they did like hypnosis, hypnotic regression sessions, things like that. As I said, he wrote in his book that he had found and been approached by 23 witnesses who said that they saw her. You can see some of these people on the documentary itself talking about what they say they saw. And these are people that are independent to Linda. But Bud Hopkins was married to a filmmaker called Carol Rainey. And at first, Carol Rainey was very supportive of her husband, Bob Hopkins, and the abduction of Linda. Fast forward to, modern day and right now. And over the years, Carol divorced Bud. and then went on to claim that the whole thing, that Linda and Bud were kind of exaggerating a lot of things, and there wasn't that much credibility behind it. Anyway, this whole documentary, I've got a short trailer to play for you, and to avoid copyright rule, I'll take it from another channel where they've inserted bits of the film Arrival to avoid, obviously, copyright, but just to share, get a flavor of this documentary.
Hanging outside my window in a beam of light.
There were 23 witnesses.
I thought it was a movie. Special effects.
I don't know why they're keeping it from the public, but we're not alone.
It would become the greatest abduction case ever seen.
But was there any evidence that this thing had actually happened? I moved to Manhattan to make a film about the alien abduction with my husband, Bud Hopkins.
The lady with the glasses is Carol Rainey, the one who really has it out for Linda and wants to discredit the story.
The existence of an extraordinary phenomenon demands an extraordinary investigation.
Bud believed that she was very, very credible, and the audience loved her.
When people hear this, do they tell you you're nuts?
I'll tell you, Jay, I wish I was psychotic. At least there's treatment for that.
Linda is simply telling the truth. It's as easy as that.
She was pulling the wool over Bud's eyes.
How could she say the things she said after what my family and I went through?
What do you want from me?
One, we're going to end all this. Two, we're moving back now. You're not dying. Three,
You'd have to be a sociopath or a genius to commit a hoax like this.
So that gives you a little bit of a flavor of the documentary. It's called Manhattan Alien Abduction. It's on Netflix. Go and check it out if you have Netflix. I would recommend it. I'm going to be honest. I've been studying and looking into ufology for close to 2.5 decades, if not slightly longer than that. And I'd never heard of Linda's case. So, but apparently in the 90s it was all big news. I mean, she was on Ricky Lake show, on a lot of mainstream TV shows, interviewed by a lot of people. There's several films out about Linda's experience, but it's considered one of the most shall we say credible abduction stories, just because of those number of witnesses. And again, if you watch the documentary, you can see some of those people talking about what they say they saw. But yeah, really interesting documentary because it comes at it from both angles. So if you're a bit skeptical, you're going to probably side with Carol. If you're not, you're going to probably side with Linda. And it's a really good watch. So I thought I would just recommend it. Go and check it out. Just to answer some questions that we've had in comments. What have we got from Hart there? I had to put the light off in the room in which I'm sitting. So that you could see the objects that I was talking about. Good shout. Can I share my experience from the 80s on the app, or is it just recent sightings? I believe you can share anything. I've seen one on there actually that was from 1960 something, as I was browsing through some of them. So I think, yeah, you can just go on, and if it's something that you've uploaded or something that was experienced even years ago, you just upload the correct details to it, and yes, you can upload your report. What happens, there is a warming period where, you know, that they look into your report and assess it before they publish it. So that's hopefully a good thing, that there's some monitoring and filtering of stuff going on. But yeah, I believe that you can go and put sightings on there from any time. Hopefully that answers your question, Hart. Right, another quick one that I just want to share with you. And in this situation, I have only got a picture, but I thought we haven't for a while, because it's something that we do quite a lot on the Monty Zone live stream. And we've talked a lot about Mars. And we haven't talked about Mars I haven't talked about Mars for quite a while. But I came across this one. I'm just going to bring it up on my screen. So hopefully that's coming up. I may need to look at zooming in. Hold on a moment. Let's zoom that in a bit. Hopefully you guys can see that clearly, but I thought this one was interesting. This has been taken from a NASA raw image, and it's of that rock that's in the top corner there. And you can see what clearly looks like, they've put a comparison down here of a Neolithic face from Cambodia. And it looks incredibly similar, and I just thought I would share this with you guys because we haven't talked about Mars in a while. I'm still looking into all the kind of evidence that's coming out of Mars. I'm still convinced that there's a story to be told with Mars. There's just things like this which they get more difficult and difficult to explain away due to explanations like natural erosion or pareidolia, just from camera angles, just the sheer volume of things that come up a lot of the time. Let me know what you think in comments. That would be really cool, guys. What do you think? Can you see the face, or just you think it's pareidolia and it's something else? I mean, something to bring attention to, so we're not acting, but it is in the original photo side facing, and obviously in that close up they've turned the image around, but it still clearly looks like it's a chiseled face, or very similar to what you're seeing below that's from Cambodia and our own human history. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Please let me know what you think in comments, guys. And then I've got one last thing to share with you, which I believe I've got a video for, and Monty's going to be so disappointed that he left the stream early and missed this one, because this really was for him, but he can watch it on catch up. But this is something that's come from James Webb Telescope, so this is why it would really interest Monty. And I came across this. I'm going to give a shout out to the channel UFO Man. I've nicked a little bit of his video, but I've got a link in the description if you want to go and check out UFO Man. So a bit of a plug for the channel. Some great things coming up on there.
15,000 light years away in the constellation.
So this is talking about a star that they found on the James Webb Telescope. It's one of those annoying AI voices, but let's just try and move beyond that, and let's find out what this is all about. And please comment.
The star is 15,000 light years away in the constellation Sagittarius. But the James Webb Space Telescope has not only captured a remarkable image of the star WR124, as the same image also shows a mysterious luminous object in space at a considerable distance of the star WR124. A closer look reveals that the enormous object resembles what looks like an alien craft in the form of a flying saucer with a rectangular porthole at the front of the craft. Furthermore, it looks like there is some kind of rectangular platform underneath the UFO that may have been attached to the craft. Another detail is the object's unique shape, which is symmetrical, making it more likely that JWST captured an alien spacecraft rather than a celestial body.
So, really, really interesting. This has come from James Webb Telescope. I mean, it is just somebody's take on what they're seeing within the image, but it's very, very interesting. That, gosh knows, with some of the ability that this telescope has now, maybe one time we're going to get a really clear image of some sort of craft, or the evidence that there is other life out there, and it's 100% proven. So that's all I had to share with you. Go and check those links out in the description. I forgot to talk at the start of the show, got distracted where I was talking about Ellie. As I said, I'm going to do a video tribute for Ellie, and I do want to share that with your courtesy on this channel when I've got that ready to share. But I mentioned on the last show that I did, where we were talking about Bigfoot, talked about all the stuff that's coming up on G-Star Vault Live, what you guys can expect, guests that are coming along. Excitingly, I've got somebody who's contacted me in the last week. He wants to come on the show. That's Robert, aka Time Lord from the US, wants to come on and guest and talk about his theories on the multiverse. So that's really an area that I'm not a great expert on, so it's going to be great to have him come along and talk about that. The next guest that we've got coming up on the show, it's either going to be next Sunday or the Sunday after, is the guys from the Unexplained Files UK. They're going to be coming along and joining me in the studio. So lots of great stuff to come up on G-Star Vault. So I hope you guys finished your weekend off well. Thank you for joining me for this live stream. Hope your week starts with a bang. Not like literally a bang, but, you know, in a good way. And guys, thank you for joining me, and see you next time on G-Star Vault Live. Thanks. Bye-bye now.